as an entity in the spawn chunks, which is linked to what that means there. Getting to some of the tech data packs, you've got ones like mechanization, which adds in a crafting, a crushing, a furnace. You've got solar panels, you've got power storage, you've got a bunch of different things, synths for generators or other aspects. I haven't looked into this one too much since, as it's been a while, but you've got a bunch of like generators, you've got a quarry, you've got an auto farm, fisher, reformer, which I assume is for like plates and other things. You've got a super piston, you've got chunk loading, teleporting, disenchanting, nuclear related, XP storage, charging of tools and things, and then obviously automatic versions of the jukebox. You've got auto crafting, you've got hopper upgrades, item transmitters, so a bunch of different stuff you can use for either typical ore refining to crafting to other utility things. There's a bunch of options there. So just the same image. Otherwise, you've got Crafttech Machines, which pretty much adds in a few different options. So you've got a advanced crafter, which is pretty much used to make all the rest of these, I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly. You've got a block breaker, which can break any blocks under it after 2 seconds or so. You've got a trash can for voiding things. You've got an ender hopper as a magnet or vacuum to suck things into it. You've got a quarry if you want to obviously mine a certain area. Pretty much after you place it, you can't turn it off. It is a 7x7 though, so once you place it, definitely be careful when using it. And you've got the smelter, which allows it to smelt ores or refine the resource. So pretty much, I think every ore is supported except for quartz there. And otherwise than that, you get a quartz crystal from mining nether quartz, which is a 40% chance of obtaining, which you'll need this along with the machine frame for a few recipes. So yeah. Otherwise, you've got the more machinery and features starter pack, which adds in a bunch of other options besides mechanization. If you're wanting more industrial farming capabilities, you got the following one here for making the farmers simple and efficient to use. Oh, that's the component. Whoops. You've got a quarry. You've got a burner. You've got an auto feeder for animals. You've got a tree farm machine. You've got a forge for obviously needing a multi-block or so, it seems, or structure there. And then let's see, the existing materials and effectiveness. Let's see. Okay, so there's different types of forges that cooks a multitude of different items in either quicker or shorter amounts, depending on what tier. You've got a fish farm, teleporter, storage, voiding things from the world, it seems, unless it's transporting. Where you can store everything you want safely, so sort of like an ender chest, but sort of expanded upon in many ways. I'm assuming there's a password sort of option as well to prevent other players. You've got an Enchantment Reducer. It's reducing it so that you can still enchant, I assume, but not have the too expensive option. You've got a mob catcher, catching mobs. An elevator, going up and down floors. Mob filter, filtering out mobs. I assume in that if they're adult or baby or just other types. Yep, so baby mode or adult mode. You've got new structures, such as obviously certain ones that appear in certain biomes. Obviously not the islands that they're showing off, I think. You've got a bunch of other stuff that appears in them, I assume, as loot. You've got new creatures. There's a fair amount of depth to each of them to give them their own sort of differences. And you've got other recipes for certain existing stuff, so string, leather, bells, and horse armor, and saddles and such, and then miscellaneous things like how much is in a bee's nest, silk touching a spawner it seems, and obviously additional information for when you're riding a horse. Otherwise, you've got the following one here, which adds in a bunch of farmers, vacuum, block breaker, and I think that's about it, and I think they're powered just by a coal block in comparison to whatever other needs for the others. You've got Hoppertech, which adds in a planter, harvester, chopper, grinder, spawner, quarry, and a wrench to configure things, an automatic cobble gen, an auto hammer, and an automatic sieve. I tried to get in this one myself, haven't done too well with it, but still adds a lot of interesting options, and that's just sort of the interfaces of each of them. So that's sort of how it presents them in the world. So that's an option. You've got Techno Magic here, which adds in, I assume, as a new dungeon, mobs, loot, and a few other things. So sort of an adventure one compared to the title of what I thought it was. So probably a bunch of tools and armor and structures and such.